Nelson finally addresses John Denver at 92. Willie Hugh Nelson was born in Abbott, Texas, on April 29, 1933. After his parents divorced and departed for work during the Great Depression, Willie was raised by his grandparents and loved music. His grandparents, who loved music, gave him his first guitar at 6. By 7, he had written his first song, and by 9, he was performing in local dance halls and honky-tonks with his sister Bobby, who played piano. They would perform together throughout their lives. Nelson had odd occupations as a young adult, including disc jockeying, vacuum sales, farming, and Bible book sales, while trying to succeed in the tough country music business. Throughout the 1950s, he moved between Fort Worth, Portland, and Nashville, seeking his ambition. Though his singing voice and phrasing clashed with Nashville's polished sound, he persisted, and his songs began to open doors. Crazy, made famous by Patsy Cline, Nightlife, and Funny How Time Slips Away showed his poetic talent and made him a master lyricist. Willie Nelson's fame began in the 1970s. Discouraged by the Nashville recording industry, he returned to Texas and founded the Outlaw country movement, which rejected mainstream country's polished commercial production style for a raw, personal, and rebellious approach. His groundbreaking albums, Shotgun Willie, 1973, Red-Headed Stranger, 1975, and Stardust, 1978, established his musical and cultural pioneer reputation. Red-Headed Stranger, with the melancholy ballad Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, proved that authenticity and narrative could sell millions of records and affect generations. Willie Nelson was famous for his persona as much as his music. His long braids, bandana, weathered visage, and guitar triggers symbolized his grit and style. Not just the image, but the man behind it. Willie Nelson was a free-spirited, kind-hearted renegade who spoke out on sensitive matters. He has long championed farmers' rights, marijuana legalization, animal welfare, and environmental sustainability. He launched Farm Aid with Neil Young and John Mellencamp in 1985, a benefit performance that raises millions for American farmers. His cooperation is renowned. Willie Nelson recorded with Waylon Jennings, Merle Haggard, Johnny Cash, Ray Charles, Dolly Parton, Sheryl Crow, Snoop Dogg, and Norah Jones over the years. His Highwaymen supergroup, Jennings, Cash, and Chris Christopherson, was a beacon of togetherness and musical excellence. His ability to cross genres while preserving his uniqueness shows his broad appeal. Nelson persevered through financial problems, failed marriages, and IRS disputes. He never ceased recording, touring, or promoting his beliefs. In his 80s and 90s, he recorded new music, authored memoirs, and relentlessly performed live despite age. His warm, weathered voice and philosophical, passionate attitude to music and life are instantly recognizable. Willie Nelson goes beyond country music. He is a national hero, poet, storyteller, and perseverance symbol. He made immeasurable contributions to music and society. His over 100 recordings and influence on innumerable artists have garnered him Grammy Awards, Kennedy Center honors, and Country Music Hall of Fame induction. More importantly, fans worldwide love and appreciate him. Willie Nelson defies expectations at 80 and redefined working music at an advanced age. His energy, originality, and passion for music continue to inspire younger musicians and fans. Nelson released Band of Brothers, a critically acclaimed studio album, in 2014, just shy of his 81st birthday. This record was a career highlight, not simply because of his age, but also because it was his first album in years with mostly Nelson-written originals. Critics praised the album's raw honesty and mature introspection, combining classic country tunes with his unique lyrical depth and narrative. It moved longtime fans and detractors, who called it the renowned singer-songwriter's return to form. Even better, Band of Brothers landed at #1 on the Billboard Top Country Albums chart, confirming his enduring importance in country music's ever-changing landscape. The album's popularity showed that Nelson's artistry and ability to connect with audiences through his voice and soulful guitar playing had not diminished with age. Beyond music, Willie Nelson has shaped movies and television. He has smoothly shifted from recording studios to film sets, becoming a charming and natural screen presence. He has played many films that demonstrate his musical talent, charisma, and wit. One of his best roles was in The Electric Horseman, 1979, with Robert Redford and Jane Fonda. Nelson played a supporting role with heart and humor and contributed to the film's soundtrack, combining his musical and cinematic talents. In the 1996 family film Starlight, Nelson played a kind, grandfatherly role that suited him, making him a generational favorite. His comedic timing and laid-back attitude made him ideal for light-hearted flicks and comedies. Nelson played Uncle Jesse in The Dukes of Hazzard, 2005, bringing his rustic Texas charm and wit to the big screen. In Blonde Ambition, 2007, a romantic comedy starring Jessica Simpson, he plays a Southern-spirited character. In 2016, Zoolander 2, a satirical fashion comedy, he made a cameo that delighted spectators and showed his cultural relevance. These films have established Willie Nelson as a music legend and a pop culture phenomenon with uncommon cross-generational appeal. His continuing involvement in the music and film industries into his 80s is a monument to his enthusiasm, endurance, and artistic spirit, a legacy few can match. Willie Nelson, the legendary American country music singer, has had a colorful and tumultuous personal life, especially in his relationships and family. For marriages have marked significant chapters in his life and reflected the hardships, transitions, and changing viewpoints that accompanied his artistic journey. 1952 was his first marriage to Martha Matthews. Despite lasting a decade, their union was turbulent. Nelson's memoirs describe the relationship's turbulent and sometimes violent character, driven by his drinking and early music career volatility. Willie and Martha had Lana, Susie, and Willie Billy, Hugh Nelson Jr. Unfortunately, their son Billy committed suicide in 1991, a life-changing event that Willie has thought on with pain and honesty over the years. Willie married Shirley Collie in 1963 after his first marriage ended. It started as a creative cooperation. Shirley was a country vocalist who worked with Nelson in the early 60s. Shirley realized in 1971 that Willie had secretly fathered a child with Connie Kupka, ending their marriage. This revelation ended their relationship and foretold his next. Willie's third wife was Paula Carleen Nelson's mother, Connie Kupka. Amy Lee Nelson was their second daughter after marrying in 1971. Connie stood by Nelson during his most turbulent music industry years and threw away his IRS and drug difficulties. In 1988, the couple divorced despite their history and 2 daughters. Willie Nelson married Annie D'Angelo, a makeup artist he met on Stagecoach, later that year. His role alongside Chris Christopherson and Johnny Cash. Annie stabilized Willie's tumultuous surroundings. She has been described as a guiding force in his life, helping him cut back on booze and meat. They have 2 kids, Lucas Autry Nelson, who plays music like his father, and became famous as the frontman of Lucas Nelson and Promise of the Real and Micah Nelson, a varied and adventurous artist and musician. Annie and Willie have been married for nearly 30 years, his longest marriage and a close, enduring friendship. Willie and Annie have moved to Maui, Hawaii, in recent years, where they live in isolation surrounded by tropical landscape, friends, and family. Their home offers a serene escape from celebrity and touring. It's more than a place to rest. It symbolizes his later life's peace. His wife is Annie D'Angelo, not Marie as other sources say. Mutual respect and affection form a solid tie. Willie Nelson has 7 children from these partnerships, each reflecting a different part of his life. Nelson is deeply loyal to his family, deriving inspiration from them for his music despite the ups and downs, personal losses, and hard-earned lessons. His family, especially his children, has shaped his personal and professional life. Many have carried on his artistic heritage. Famous country singer Willie Nelson is already in his 90s and has had a rich and complicated life like the American landscape he sings about. Nelson's 70-year career includes outlaw country, gospel, and blues. He's met some of music's most significant figures. One name that fans have long speculated about, but Nelson has rarely mentioned, is that of fellow singer-songwriter and beloved American folk superstar John Denver. In a rare and heartbreaking moment of vulnerability and candor, Willie Nelson, 92, has now opened up about his memories, impressions, and enduring thoughts on the late Denver, revealing a friendship the public never saw. Many fans wondered how Nelson felt about Denver for years. Both artists were in different but interconnected American music scenes. Denver's clear voice and nature-inspired melodies embodied 1970s optimism. Nelson, braided, unfiltered, and planted in outlaw country's harsher textures, was more rebellious. Despite those differences, Willie today admits that he admired John Denver's musical authenticity, lyrical skill, and unwavering environmental activism. Denver could sing from the mountains and mean every syllable, according to Nelson. Willie says they had mutual regard and affinity even though they didn't travel or collaborate as often as some may think. They met during charity events and television specials in the late 1970s and early 1980s, when both guys supported things they cared about. Nelson for family farmers and rural communities, Denver for wildlife conservation. Willie says the two discussed fame demands and keeping real in an industry full of expectations backstage at one of those concerts. John informed me he wanted to write and sing his true feelings. No matter what New York or LA thought, Nelson says, that affected me hard. That was respected. Nelson says Denver's 1997 plane disaster off California's coast touched him deeply. In public, Willie was silent. He admits to mourning one of America's gentlest voices privately. He says Denver's music still impacts him, notably Take Me Home, Country Roads, and Sunshine on My Shoulders, after decades. Willie believes the songs are full of love. Not just hits, but gifts. Nelson discusses Denver's misunderstood legacy. John was frequently criticized for being too soft or sentimental, but Denver's strength was his genuineness and willingness to follow his heart. People strive to change you in this business. John never allowed that, Willie claims. That requires quiet guts. Willie Nelson, who has challenged artistic traditions and stood out for his ideals, may see himself in Denver's journey. He thinks they may have recorded together if Denver lived longer. Perhaps a beautiful duet honoring the land they loved with their different voices. Nelson smiles nostalgically. We were country boys at heart. Maybe different pathways, but same horizon. Willie pays tribute to a fallen friend and teaches appreciation and reconciliation in Speaking Up Now. At 92, with a long life of stories, he reminds us that respecting those who crossed our way, whether for a moment or a lifetime, gives music and the man behind it meaning. Willie Nelson's views on John Denver are sweet, real, and true, like a song as his career winds down. Possibly decades in the making, yet always ready to be sung.